People have a real passion for their breads and their pastries and their sweets. And I believe that this is a passion that's having a resurgence at the moment, and I think that resurgence will continue. One of the beauties of cooking with pastries as well is the yeast and the smell that you get. I can smell my oven and it's calling to me because those croissants are ready to go. I'm going to pull them out. And that yeast smell that's been in the air, they're lovely and buttery, lovely and high. It's just coming through and it's calling me to come and get those beautiful pieces out. I love that smell of yeast. So we're just folding this cream through the creme pâtissière. We don't want to whisk it. We don't wish to have that cream split on us. We just want to provide that lovely velvet texture. This is such a simple thing to put together when done correctly, and it just has such a lovely flavour to it. You get a real crunch from that puff pastry, followed by all that gooey velvety creme pâtissière. We simply get our lids, put them on top, I love this part. We're just going to throw together some brandy snaps. Very, very simple thing to do. People say, oh, brandy snaps are so difficult to make. How do you roll them? How do you do this? We're going to show you today. Very, very easy. What we're going to do here is we have 60 grams of butter. We're just going to put that into our pan with 80 grams of brown sugar and slowly melt our butter. With that, our sugar will melt as well. 1 teaspoon of ground ginger. That just gives the sweetness a little bite, so you've got a contrast when you're eating your brandy snap, because this has your sweetness, a little bit of tart on one hand, and then for your textures you have the crumble of the brandy snap and the lusciousness of the creme chantilly which is put inside. Butter's starting to melt. When that butter's melted, our sugar would have reverted from crystal back into a liquid. And then we add this beautiful lush golden syrup from Queensland. Okay, our brandy snap mixture has just come back perfectly now. It's a lovely, lovely texture. I can cut it off like fudge. And I'll make a little quenelle. And that quenelle is basically about the size of this very small squash ball. We'll put that onto our plate, not forgetting that these are going to spread quite considerably. Okay, absolutely beautiful. We wouldn't like these any browner than this, because that's just the right amount of bitterness and sweetness in our brandy snap. We let them cool for just a few moments now. At the moment, it's the perfect time to get your spatula or a ladle or a spoon and just move them apart from each other, because they're still really soft and malleable. Once we go to roll them, they're going to set and firm up quite some bit, and if we try to do that at that stage, they're going to snap, and they're not called a brandy snap for no reason. So I'm just going to test our brandy snaps here. We don't want them too hard or they're not going to roll for us, and we don't want them too soft as they're going to crack as we're rolling them, but they're feeling just great. So I'm just going to bring these over. That tray's still a little warm even for my cured fingers. Bring this tray over. We get the trusty broomstick. Very simply, you place it just at the front. While it's still malleable, you roll the snap around your stick, and there we have a fillable pastry that we can fill with a creme pâtissière. We could make a strawberry mousse to go with that, a chocolate mousse. So we'll just quickly roll these others now because it is setting. If you find they get too hard, you can just pop it back in the oven for a few seconds and that'll soften them up again and they'll roll away. There we go. So they're already rolled. We'll put those aside to cool. No good putting our lovely custard inside one that's still hot. I'd like to introduce my young protege, Georgia here. She's going to just put some creme pâtissière, some fresh creme chantilly inside of this brandy snap that's cooled and create a wonderful little dessert dish for us. That's a wonderful job there, George, even with the creme chantilly. Creme chantilly goes in our other end. There we go, just pull that out. And a little, that's lovely. Put that down there. A little bit of cream so that our brandy snap sits up for us. Just gorgeous. We're going to cut one of those lovely Victorian strawberries and put on the plate next to that. We'll get our Australian wild hibiscus flower out. What we'll need for that actually, Georgia, is if we get a little knife, just wipe the water off of there for you. You can stick the knife very gently just in the tip of that lovely flower that's poking up at you. Pull it out like that. Lovely. Take it over and just place it on this side of the plate. Standing up, what a gorgeous looking thing. Now we're just going to make it a little fancy with a little drizzle of this beautiful hibiscus juice and we'll send that out. That's lovely. Michael, the brandy snap's ready. Thank you. I believe I've sustained a life as a chef by the sheer passion for the food and the ingredients, and also the people that I meet and the responses I get from them when they eat the food. The industry does demand a lot of hours. I guess it gets to a point when you do that many hours and you're that passionate about your cooking that you sort of, it becomes almost timeless in a regard that it becomes all of time. So you're just consumed with it and it's what you do. This lovely fruity, tarty, earthy tasting vegetable that's certainly underutilised is such a beautiful thing. I've just found some new recipes too I'm going to try very shortly, which is beetroot friands with chocolate ganache. It just sounds just wonderful. You caramelise those baby beets in a really thick, heavy syrup very slowly. That sugar impregnates the beet, it gets crusty on the outside and it's still soft on the inside. It's a beautiful thing. Michael, 2 rhubarb cakes please. Thank you very much. Thank you. With my desires for the industry at this stage, I'm thinking in the short term. I've been doing pastries, I've been doing French cuisine, I've been doing seafoods. I'd like to explore as many different fields as I can. Just recently, which we'd love to be in a position to be able to show you in the future, is we've purchased some antique candy making equipment, and I've moved on into making candy, which is a whole other part of the industry, which really again is inspiring. It's something new for myself. I did with a Swiss chef, Mr. Zimmerman, or Chef Zimmerman as we used to call him. We played with stretching candy by hand, and at one stage he was involved in a competition where he did an Australian kangaroo paw out of candy and it looked like a piece of glass. And just recently I believe there's a light that's been inspired by the kangaroo paw made out of glass that's installed down in Federation Square in Victoria. It's just a magnificent centrepiece and again a great icon of Australia. It seems it's used in candy, it's used for lighting. And again, food is a bit like art. You can do so many different things with it. The next little venture I'd like to move into is roasting our own Australian organic coffee beans from the Atherton Tablelands up in far north Queensland in Cairns. Wonderful, clean, fresh product. Coffee goes so well with all of your pastries, and it's something, you know, it's a marriage made in heaven for anybody that loves their coffee and their pastries. I mean, you know. Let's face it, 65 million French people can't be wrong with their chocolate croissant and their coffee to start their day. We've picked a little name called Sweet Copper Roasted for our new coffee venture. We're going to link a food from here with our coffee that will be roasting out on the street to bring people in for those smells and just give them an experience of what there is to be experienced in Old Ginninderra village itself. It's a whole new venture I'm going into to learn how to get that caramel and those sugars out of that lovely little bean. You know, that's the skill of the roaster and the blender. We want to do individual sweet copper beans. I'm looking forward to the challenge.